Greetings everyone and welcome back to Taroko Railways. Today we are looking at Hornby model 3342, that is R3342 in BR early. CREST in wheel arrangement is 260. Class K1 locomotive number 62015, DCC ready in double O gauge. This is a loco that is part of the LNER Thomson Peppercorn class K1. Now, as we look at the locomotive on our round table, you'll see the brilliant black British Railway livery and the red lining of the loco and the outlining of the numbers in white and the bottom outline also in white. And then if you look here, you'll see some of the accessory fitment and you'll see all the nameplates, and it's a buffer stoppers, the sprung buffers, and vacuum pump are fitted. And if you look at the box here, you can see it's beautifully illustrated on the box, and Hornby has really done a good job of actually modifying the model to the standard of the look of this locomotive and capturing the authenticness of that. And here we have the box description, which is, just wait for the camera to zoom in and go anti-blur. It's 3242 BR early 260 class A1 locomotive 62015, DCC ready, and a minimum radius of 438 millimeters, and of course it's a double O gauge locomotive. So having a look here at the locomotive, you'll see the perfect finishes, and from the accessory pack they have also fitted that, and the cab glass and the chimneys finishing, and the box, the dart, the front, the dart box has been painted, and as you can see the front windows and air vents you can view carefully. And look at the wheel arrangement on this locomotive and the tender finish, it's all brilliantly captured. And just to add some interest, I also add a classic coal truck NCB national coal truck that I've added on the round table. So here we got the loco in direction with the box, and great reflection, great locomotive, definitely. The London and North Eastern Railway LNER class K1 is a type of 260 mogul steam locomotive designed by Edward Thomson. Thomson preferred a simple two-cylinder design instead of his predecessor Nigel Gresley's three-cylinder. The 70 K1s were intended to be split between the northeastern region of British Railways and the eastern region of British Railways. LNER class K4 number 3445 Macallan Moor was rebuilt in 1945 at Darlington Works as a two-cylinder prototype of the K1 class, designated K1/1. Thomson entrusted the rebuilding of number 3445 as a two-cylinder mogul to his principal assistant Arthur Peppercorn. The locomotive became British Railways number 61997 and was withdrawn from service in 1962. When the order was placed for 70 of the new mixed traffic 260s with the North British Locomotive Company of Glasgow, they were the last steam locomotives built to an LNER design. Although all were delivered under British Railways, or spices numbered 62001 till 620700. They entered service between May 1949 and March 1950. Now a closer look at more history of the K1 class. This locomotive 5B6F. They were sent to England, where they were used for both freight and express passenger workings. 30 of the class were sent to the eastern region, while the remaining 40 were dispatched to the northeastern region. Many of the northeastern K1s were often seen as far north as Edinburgh, and early on in their working life were regularly used on the West Highland Line. A significant number of those allocated to the eastern region were based in March. All of the class were fitted with electric lighting and self-cleaning smoke boxes identified with an SC plate situated just beneath the shed plate, with others being fitted with AWS, automatic warning system. The first 50 K1 locomotives were outshopped in black with British Railways emblazoned on the tender, while the remaining 20 were released with the early BR CREST. From 1957, all of the class received the BR emblem. By 1958, the K1s were starting to be transferred from the Great Eastern region, with the result that by 1961, only 8 remained at March. However, by the middle of 1962, these had been moved to Redford and Doncaster. Withdrawal of the K1s began in December 1962, but it was a very slow demise as it took a full 5 years before the last locomotive, number 62005, was withdrawn from service on the eastern region in 1967. Luckily, locomotive 62005 survived. This locomotive, made by Hornby, originally allocated to the LNER number 2015, the model we have in front of us, the 15th K1 class locomotive, was outshopped from the North British Company Works, carrying the BR number 62015 in July 1949. By 1950, the locomotive was on shed at 31B March, where it remained, but by 1960 was restored to 30A Stratford, but eventually ended its working days at 36C Scunthorpe, Frodingham. The locomotive was withdrawn from service in July 1965 and removed to Draper's Hull, where the locomotive 62015 was cut up in November 1965. And what a beautiful locomotive it was, indeed. So sad that all had to end up in the breaker's yard. Exactly 1 year ago, I purchased this Hornby locomotive brand new. It's still running smoothly and still enjoy having it as part of my fleet on the layout. It's really a lovely loco and I enjoy running everything from freight to passenger coaches on this layout with the locomotive. So really nice performer, slow speed and high speeds, and slope ways, reverse and forward. It is also interesting to know that the Peppercorn K1s proved to be useful and versatile engines. They worked extensively over the ex-LNER territory but were chiefly associated with northeast England, and like their K4 predecessors, the West Highland Line. Like many post-nationalisation classes, the K1s had relatively brief lives. All were withdrawn between 1962 and 1967, but the last to be retired was ultimately preserved. They were capable of reaching speeds up to 50 miles per hour or 45 miles per hour while running tender thirst. One of the class loco number 62005 was preserved, as previously mentioned, based at the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. It was acquired as a case of spare boiler and for the solitary preserved K4. But in 1972 the K1 was donated, still with its boiler, to the North Eastern Locomotive Preservation Group. By 1975, the K1 had been restored to mainline running order and made an appearance at the Stockton and Darlington Railway 150th anniversary celebrations at Sheldon, County Durham. Since then, the NELPG has endeavoured to keep the locomotive available for use on the main line. Locomotive number 62005 spends most of its time on the summer Fort William Maury Jacobite service, numbered as 2005 in 1988, at least, recalling memories of the K1s in Scotland. So there you have it. Thank you once again for joining me on a little bit of history of the Class K1 locomotive, the Peppercorn Class K1 LNER X Thompson locomotive.